I hope this works. Hello, everybody. Once again, we're back. We're gonna be casting a match today. MOR 8 Week 2, 228 Blackwatch versus Potato Killers. I'm gonna be your main caster, Toaster, and this is.
This is Saruman of Many Colors, which is very unfortunate that Toaster unfortunately cut out on my name, since it's a very wonderful name, reminiscent of the almighty wizard, Saruman the White, who in the books is occasionally referenced to as Saruman of Many Colors. Now, we've already went through the map ban phase because we had a little bit of a problem with Twitch, but basically this boils down to the fact that Evil and 228 are selecting Alpine, and the selection for this is pretty clever. To go down, to give a recap of what happened during this ban phase, unfortunately, we couldn't show it due to some technical difficulties, which we do greatly apologize for.
Yep.
Viridian and Terra Therma were banned outright. Technically, that map has never been played. Now, generally, that leaves it between Rubelite, River City, and Alpine Peaks. Now, Rubelite, River City, and Alpine are generally the more popular maps. You see more Rubelite in EU, more River City and NA, but I think 228th Blackwatch has seen that River City plays to the strengths of Evil, and that's why they banned it quickly and hoped that Evil would go with Alpine. But Toaster, what do you think of this?
Yeah, we saw 228. They played Alpine. They lost EMP, but it was definitely some hard fought games. So it seems like they're kind of trying to switch things to their wheelhouse, extreme long range trading. But that being said, Evil as a faction warfare unit probably has more experience in that regard than most. So we'll see if the Alpine Peak choices ends up actually being in 228's favor. Go ahead.
Oh no! I was just saying that right now we have both teams on. Right now, 228th is trying to get Archon Adam Steiner in. We apologize for the 5-minute late period, but we just had to get some things over. But continue your thought, Toaster. I didn't mean.
Oh, you cut out, sir.
I did. Well, Discord is absolutely wonderful. Probably should consider TeamSpeak more than anything.
Yeah.
But right now, both teams are setting up. They're getting their drop decks ready. Evil says that they want to try and move this along, and we hope we can move it along too. So to go upon this, it's Solaris City, which is an interesting map. It's one that we've never seen in comp before, and it's going to present some problems for the teams that are competing in it. It's kind of similar to maps that, like, not necessarily Outreach APG, not as that extreme, but there's definitely some areas where there's a lot of lanes where you won't be able to shoot at certain positions. Epsilon and Kappa are kind of isolated from what we suppose will be the main fight at Theta, unless one team or another goes for cap strategy, where they try and force the issue by attacking different points around the map rather than attacking the center, which is something that could definitely happen. We've seen strategies like that against Tourmaline. I believe that Eisengrim pulled out a statement win against 228 Blackwatch many moons ago in MRBC by doing just that, playing a highly mobile revolving cap strategy around the map, taking advantage of the slow speed of 228's heavier mechs. And potentially we could see that with Evil. But I believe, Toaster, you also submitted a very interesting strategy involving the buildings. Could you go over and recap that real quick?
Yeah, there's some really odd, like, strange high points where you can hide some mechs up there if you've got enough jump jets. And I think there's a chance, last week on Mining Collective, we saw CXF try and kind of bait in a 228 push. We might see some of that again. Maybe you put some streak mechs like a Huntsman or something way high up above one of these outlying caps, along with maybe a light or two, and hope that you can pick off an enemy mech really easily. I think this map, because of the kind of restricted firing lanes, you could easily lose just to caps, just because your opponent is too fast for you to ever keep up and kind of pin anybody down, especially if you have a lot of jump jets and if you have that jump jet mech advantage.
And Gilakuda saying he wants to hear how good Imperial is, so I'll vouch for you, Gilakuda. Imperial is very good, but let's see if 228 can prove that they are better. We are launching. And right. Here we go. We're going into the match now. Don't forget, name and titles percentages, Toaster.
Oh, yeah. I got that covered. As soon as I load in first thing, it's on my sticky note.
Sticky note right next to your monitor. That's genius. That's like old school office space, right?
Yup. I need another monitor just so I can have other notes.
Yeah. I could probably use a couple of extra monitors too. I only have the.
Oh, yeah. So what mechs do you think? I think Huntsman will be popular. Maybe some Phoenix Hawks. I don't know. What are you expecting here?
Well, we'll be able to see right when they get to the match, but I'm thinking that 228 might run some linebacker specials in order to force the cap issue. And meanwhile, I think that Evil is probably going to run a conventional array of range brawl in order to take advantage of the lanes on are coming in. I'm sorry, I cut out, but the mechs are coming in, and it looks like that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing some Supernovas, Summoners, Mad Cat Mark IIs on the side of Evil, also known as Potato Killers. Let's take a look into their mechs. Okay, so we got an ERPPC mech with Narc for Potato Killers by Ragnar Baron Einigan, Spider 5V for Nightbird, 2 medium lasers, and we have LRMs for Way Too Sexy on his Mad Cat Mark II, 4 Lerm 20 pods. Hell's Manix also has Lerm 20s in his Mad Cat Mark II. Relixander, Mad Cat Mark II, again, Lerm 20. So we're seeing a very high Lerm deck for Evil. What are we seeing for 228 though, Toast?
228, they've got Mad Cat Bees, so kind of more the ballistic line. Also is
Cut out again,
a
Toast.
Skokamish, and then they've got looks like a Cyclops 10Q. I'd wager that is Streaks. And looks like linebacker and Stormcrew are their only 2 linebackers and a Stormcrew are their only capping mechs. So we'll see. They've got a kind of pretty even split for 228 right now. 4 going towards Kappa, 4 going to Epsi.
Looks like I'm sorry, continue.
Looks like the faster guys are the ones going to Kappa.
And it looks like that Evil is foregoing the center of the map. They cap Theta just to sliver cap it, and they're leaving it alone. Nightbird getting some early skirmishes on the mechs currently at Kappa, trying to stop the cap, and it looks like it worked for a little bit. They didn't have Kappa completely capped, but now 228 holds Kappa and Epsilon having a cap advantage. But look at Evil's position. They moved to one specific side of the map, and they moved to this side of the map in order to take advantage of their LRMs. Now, this might not exactly be the smartest strategy, since from this position, Evil has no control over Theta. They only control Kappa and Gamma, which means that the map control isn't enough to guarantee the cap victory, and 228 is wisely wisening up to this idea. They saw the UAV in the air, they're withdrawing and pulling back towards Theta to try and get the 3 cap of their own, which they can easily get since there's no one overlooking Theta, while the rest of 228's heavier mechs look like they're circling around and moving towards Gamma.
Yeah, and we've got this Spider for Evil too. It looks like he's their scout mech. Got a lot of jump jets, gonna go around, try and find, some openings, but it's cap leads pretty favorably in 228's pretty heavily in 228's favor, but I don't know what Evil's planning on doing sitting over here on the side of the map where they don't really have any control.
Well, we're seeing right now that Nightbird is running cap accelerators, and Sigma went down pretty quickly. So I guess Nightbird's going to try and carry the cap load on his shoulders while Evil sets up a Kappa and Gamma. But it looks like that 228's heavy lances might be able to take the bait. If the summoners pop up, get a Narc and a PPC shot on those mechs at Gamma, this could turn into a very nasty, unfortunate situation for 228. But it looks like that Evil's mechs overall don't recognize that 228's heavy body is heading to Gamma yet, and Gamma might already be hard cap before Evil even reacts. Right now, their mechs are just kind of sitting along the edge of the map at Kappa, and this is a very interesting setup. Beforehand, we didn't talk about it on stream, but I believe we had a bit of a theory crafting that we think that controlling the middle and getting Theta would be the more popular strategy, but right now both teams have completely eschewed the middle, which does seem like a very smart move since the entry zones into the middle are basically kill zones. Unless you have very good traders, you will be demolished in those zones. It's very hard to maneuver, and it looks like 228 and Evil recognize that, smartly trying to avoid fights at Theta where they can, sitting on the edges of the map.
Yeah, and while you were saying that, Nightbird got chased off of Sigma by this Zeus, the Skokamish, and linebacker. So, Evil is unable currently to keep more than 1 cap point. So they're spreading their mechs out a little bit more, but they've already got quite a deficit. Well, okay, only 40 points, but still. 228's about to have a 4 cap. They already have a 3 cap running. So they've got to do something quick. And
Definitely, and it's showing that right now this strategy from Evil is just not working. They're starting to break their mechs apart. It looks like they're probably reverting to a plan B where they're trying to spread their Lerm mechs out with the summoners in order to take different locations. Nightbird trying to move to Epsilon, but 228 has the points very well covered. Their Heavy Lance is moving from Gamma to Epsilon. Which will present a very interesting conundrum for 228. Their heavy body might be too slow to cover the entire set of the map, but they still have a decent enough fast lance with the linebacker and Stormcrow to be able to take on whatever lights or stranded heavies they can. Now, the biggest issue is if they get caught out on the outskirts of the map and get lermed to death, and those linebackers get neutralized along with the Stormcrow, what would 228's response be then? Right now, they don't really have to worry about it since the lerms on Evil are now completely on different edges of the map. But
are the Mad Cat's lerms? What lerm mechs does Evil have?
Yes, the Mad Cat Mark IIs are lerms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I saw summoners.
Swear to everything.
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
The summoners are ERPPCs with an ARCs, my man. This is an all lerm deck. Their Supernova A's have lerms. Their Mad Cat 4 has lerms. They are running all lerms on Evil's side, which is very interesting.
Yeah, especially for this map. I don't know. There's so much hard cover. I think it'd be hard to justify even in today's meta.
And I think that's what Evil didn't plan for. It seems like that they didn't expect 228 to just fan out on different sides of the map or not go through the center and push out through a lane that they could trust get their lerms on target. It seems like that they just went with something a bit unconventional and might not have planned for the map itself necessarily, but we are starting to see some lerms go out against a 228 mech. It looks like it's the linebacker. Yep, it is the linebacker. And right now we're already seeing some trades around Gamma.
Yeah, this Supernova is way closer than he wants to be. He's got these two linebackers, Laser Vomit, kind of picking on him, and even with lerm cover from his teammates, they're not going to pin these linebackers down very well. They're using this cover really nicely.
Well, they might not have pinned him down, but One Last Bite just ate a huge amount of LRMs at 61%. Cheeky's and Carl Vickers in the Summoner and Supernova. Cheeky's is trying to get Narcs on for Carl Vickers' lerms, but it looks like that's not going to matter since the 228 heavy body has already neutralized Carl Vickers down at 44%, and he's down. Very easy kill for 228 Blackwatch. Great focus fire. Summoner's probably going to follow soon, and right now Evil's team is just way too spread out to properly respond to this. Yondu Udant is trying to bring some lerms to stop the carnage, but it's just not going to happen. Cheeky, one of the better players on Evil, is already getting neutralized at 32%. Admiral Korean Jesus, who I believe 228 told us was Mikado's soul, could be wrong, but is already neutralized him, and 228's heavy body rolling in at the perfect time. Amazing reflexive response from 228.
Yeah, but in the meantime, Evil has managed to claw back a 3 cap, so they're not losing the cap war so bad, but they're going to need more than that if they expect to win.
Perfect trade so far. One Last Bite only down 58%. He's the only one that sustained a lot of damage, and he's very easy to rotate in and out with the linebacker, so that 58% is not nearly as impactful as one would think. At 58%, he's still got all his weapons. His side torsos are open and beat up, but in the linebacker, it's kind of like a makeshift light, so that's not really a big issue. I love this pick from 228 from the linebackers. I think that it's a great pick, and this is the pick that's going to allow them to win the game because it allows them to have the combination of mobility and firepower in order to neutralize the Evil's cap game.
Evil's still quite a spread around Kappa, but it looks like 228's they're going in. They've got these Mad Cats. They feel like they can win these fights. Right now, Evil, they've got, I don't know, they're lerming, but how effective is their damage at these ranges with all the buildings? Who knows?
And we've already seen that Nightbird's starting to get neutralized by Panic Button and his Skokamish, the all-streak 6 Skokamish, forcing Nightbird away, sending him scurrying for the hills. Nightbird's trying to help claw the cat lead back, but 228 really isn't allowing it. But we're seeing a huge Lerm confrontation happen to Kappa right now. Right now, Evil is laying down the pain. Todok the Potato Hunter at 61%, Archon Adam Steiner 53%. It looks like 228 just ran into a Lerm-firing hellhole right now, and their mechs are eating it. Todok the Potato Hunter is already almost completely brought down. He's lost one side of his Mad Cat Mark IIB, and right now 228's Heavy Lance went from being in a great position to being in a terrible position.
Yeah, they funneled through a little choke point there, and that got him, but I don't know if it's enough at this point, right? It's 600, almost 700 points on the side of 228. And
It
And
isn't, but even still, if Evil can just get some kills, they can walk away from this match with a smile on their face.
that's
Any
true.
kills at this point will help Evil in their division, since as we've stated before for the for the for the match between Black Omen and CXF, there's nothing to be lost from Evil in this match. They can only gain things, and what they hope to gain probably is kills. Ragnar, Baron, Leiningen, Way Too Sexy, Relixander are at the top of the buildings trying to rain some lerms down, but they're raining them on the wrong mechs. Todok the Potato Hunter and Archon Adamstein are brilliantly hiding from cover as the game comes to a conclusion, with T28 bringing home a strong win.
Yeah. It seems like, just even with CapExcel, just the one spider wasn't quite enough to kind of keep things on the side of evil.
Yondu Udanta, who we unfortunately didn't plug his stream in correctly. He got 640 damage and was the MVP. Hell's Manix also pulling out a strong game. Way Too Sexy in his Mad Cat Mark IV, 249. But Cheekies and Carl Vickers, unfortunately, were not able to do much. Meanwhile, on the 228 side, they got into a very good damage spread. Archon Adam Steiner, the leader in his Mad Cat Mark IIB at 436. But everyone else isn't really that far behind. Panic Button, 378. Gillicuda, 367. Panic Button actually fulfilling a very important role in making sure that the spider couldn't just run roughshod over the entire map. He really neutralized Nightbird in a couple of areas, and a very, very, very strong win for 228 at the beginning.
Yeah,
and
for
also
sure.
just a sorry to interrupt, Toaster, but I also just want to make sure that we do this right now. Anybody who wants to follow Evil's MVP on this match can do so here. Yondu the Ravager's stream. He's a very strong CW streamer, and he's a lot of fun to watch. Go check him out whenever you get the chance. But now, Toaster, if you would like to continue.
Well, I'm sorry. Red Imp does not seem to be working for me. Oh dear. It is a day of technical difficulties for me. Yeah, I don't know, it was a good try. I would not have honestly expected Lerms to work that well on that map. You wanna go to the map strat and talk about how Evil positioned and what they did right, what they did wrong?
Of course, let's do it. So one of the things that we've seen from Evil is that, as Team 2, they basically did their movement by starting to fan out in multiple different directions across the map at Gamma and stretch across to Kappa. That was their original setup. And what they wanted to achieve was basically setting up along the edge of the map, taking advantage of their lerms as much as possible. Nightbird got a very, very smart early cap by going straight to Theta and capping it immediately. That was a very good maneuver. Meanwhile, 228, however, kind of did a good counter maneuver in the fact that they sent two different contingents, one to Epsilon, one to Kappa, but keeping their heavies kind of focused around this Epsilon point, which I believe was a very smart move. And I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, because if their heavies went directly to Kappa here, then they would have been rained on indefinitely by Evil's Lerm team. So 228, they kept their heavy lance together, constantly moving and revolving around the map in a smart rotation. Meanwhile, Evil didn't necessarily keep their mechs together. At the end of the day, Evil, from this backward position, rotated their mechs in several different directions, with their spider going whichever way he could. Now, the spider was intercepted. Now, the spider and one of their heavy groups, the lone group, was kind of intercepted around Fox 6 at this point right here while trying to go and cap Epsilon. That was by the heavy lance. And I think that's one thing we're seeing 228 bring to this match that Evil cannot. It's the fact that basically 228 showed their experience. They know that you can't divide your heavy lance. Like, you've got to keep it together. You've got to make sure that everybody's cohesive, and you got to make sure that everybody's on the same page. That is something Evil did not do. That lance that got caught out, Cheekies and the Summoner, they got vaporized instantly by the extraordinary difference in firepower that favored 228, and they really weren't able to do much. So basically, for the entire match, Evil was playing from the back foot. And Toaster, I believe you also saw the engagement that happened at Charlie 3. Could you take us into what happened in this area?
Yeah, Charlie 3. It's so hard to remember. Okay, so that was that where they kind of were scraping Nightbird as he kind of went in for Kappa, I believe?
No, I don't believe so. I believe that was the main engagement that was happening.
The main engagement. Okay. So yeah, main engagement at the end. 228, they just kind of had red in their eyes and decided to push. I don't remember which way. Um, they decided to push the position of Evil. Evil had a pretty nice spread, like up on the buildings. They had a summoner that was kind of in the center of their formation, right? He's sitting up there with, I guess, Narc and maybe even a tag. I'm not sure. I saw a tag coming off something. And, 228 ended up kind of filing through one of these pathways, or I don't remember. It might have been this one, I believe. And just because of how nice a spread Evil had kind of around that position, they 228 took a lot of lerm damage until they made it like right on to the point. Unfortunately, once they made it onto the point, kind of underneath the evil lerm mechs that were there, the lerm mechs couldn't really do anything. 228 just started hugging the buildings and making it impossible to get lerms. Even the summoner with his PPCs couldn't really shoot them because they were at like such a steep angle below him.
Uh, yes, and I think that we're going to see more Lerms with the upcoming match Polar. I can't imagine why people wouldn't bring Lerms. Lerms have always been very strong on Polar Highs. It's the upcoming match for domination. The only reason why I think they wouldn't is because teams might want to bring maybe a stronger light contingent or maybe want to bring more extreme ranges than what Lerms would allow. But unless you can give me a reason as to why I might be wrong, Toaster, I think that we're going to see more Lerms this game and maybe Lerms from both teams. What do you think?
I think there's a good chance, but I have not playtested it enough to know. So I think the only way we won't see lerms is if we have a situation kind of like Alpine where teams just attempt to outrange the ability of your team to bring lerms, right? If you're sitting at, 1,000 meters, lerms, regardless of how slow your mechs are going to be pretty ineffective. But this map doesn't quite have the steep cover that Alpine does, so even if you manage to back down a hill at a line of sight, it's a little more tricky to, protect yourself even after your opponents, are losing their lerm lock.
Okay, so now both teams are ready. We're moving on to Polar Highlands. I honestly cannot wait for this match to start. 3, 2, 1, and we're launching. I suspect greatly that we're going to see Lerms, either that or we're going to see extreme ER large laser trading, or we might even see one team try and stock up on a light lance. Even though Nightbird is a very, very good light pilot, as we specified earlier on the stream, or maybe not, because that might have been the part that got cut out, unfortunately, due to our technical difficulties. It remains to be said that Nightbird is a very, very good light pilot. He tried out for a bunch of top teams. He's played at the highest levels of competitive gaming in MechWarrior Online, but still, he's a little alone right now. Evil, they have a very, very solid, flexible roster, but there's nobody that stands out as the next light pilot to Nightbird. Meanwhile, 228, Panic Button has come into his own as a very, very strong light pilot. One Last Bite, Need a Pickle, also very strong light pilots. So we'll see what happens, but I would say that if one team's going to stack heavy on lights, it would be 228, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to be either Lerms or it's going to be long-range trading.
Yep. Now, let's see. Over here on the 228 side, you're right. They're stacking heavy on their light mechs. They have 2 Fleas and 2 Piranha 3s, so fully half of their team are lights. So they're looking to play the cap game for sure, and probably maybe even just take it to the other evil lights and win without even confronting their main body. Who knows?
And right now, what we're seeing from Evil's side, Carl Vickers is bringing medium lasers in his Stormcrow. Nightbird bringing small pulse lasers in his Flea. Cheeky's the Kit Fox Purifier. I love this. Very classic Purifier build, laser vomit. Not exactly classic in the loadout, but classic in the fact that he's bringing the Purifier. It's a mech that we haven't seen in a very long time. Medium pulse lasers and small lasers. Word to note, the medium pulse lasers on the Purifier are very high mounted, so he'll be able to jump, snipe, poke very effectively. Hell's Mannix bringing ER larges along with much of the rest of the heavies from Evil. So it looks like Evil is going to take a long-range trade with lasers. Has 228 brought any Lerms, though?
Is the night gear? I don't believe so, unless that night gear has lerms. But I believe the night gear D is lasers and Gauss. So it doesn't look like 228 has any lerms. They've got a Warhawk, a Hellbringer, or 2 Hellbringers, including a Virago. So those are definitely like ER large trader mechs.
Well, it looks like neither team brought lerms. Amen to that. Not necessarily amen in the fact that they're weapon systems, but it's always nice to have a good diversity of weapons. You know, just having matches with straight lerms isn't necessarily the most fun for the viewers. So thank you very much, 228 and Evil. Not sure if it was intentional or not. Not sure if you tested it and just showed that we don't know what we're talking about and the fact that lerms may not be strong on this map. But even still, a great match. About to begin. Range tradings are already going off. Nightbird manages to very skillfully dodge some PPC shots shot by 228 from the other side of the map in the night gear. But right now it looks like that Evil is not winning this poke war. The Purifier's taken 5% of damage otherwise. Percentages on both sides are pretty even, 98, 99 across the board for Evil. Meanwhile, no one from 228's really even got scoffed. Totok the Potato Hunter and his Hellbringer with the ER large lasers, I'm guessing, is the only one that's taken any damage of any kind.
Yeah, these Stormcrows not doing too much for Evil right now. I guess they're brawly laser builds, and they're just gotta kind of sit here. And while they're doing this, they're giving 228 more time to just kind of spread out, take angles. You know, even if you get to the point where one 228 mech can maybe get jumped, if they spread their lines far enough, it's not gonna matter. You're gonna take so much damage, kind of chasing them down one by one. It's going to be real rough for your team. It looks like Yondu and Hell's Manix are really the only traders on Evil's side, and I'm not sure they can win these with the number of traders that 228 brought.
And you know what? I'm just going to go out on a limb and remember to say that drops 2 and 3, you can't even bring lock on weapons. So we were complete idiots even talking about lerms in the first place, which is wonderful. Thank you very much, chat. Monka S, yeah. That's my fault. I'm the rules reader, still trying to catch up with the idea behind people even bringing lerms in the first place. Normally it's something you wouldn't even worry about, but yeah, it's something now. So my bad. You can Monka S me all you want, chat. Capo A, I completely deserve it. That is my fault. And as I'm talking, Yondu Dante down to 84%. He ate some strike damage and was getting poked to death by the ER large lasers. 90% down for the Flea and the Warhammer 6D. Hell's Manix at 90%. Ragnar Baron Leiningen at 84%. So right now, all Evil's doing is eating range trades. Admiral Korean Jesus taking some damage in his Hellbringer, but that's more because he's the primary range trader and he's getting great support from Gilakuda and from Totok the Potato Hunter.
And it looks like really Evil's on the move. They've decided they're tired of this. They're moving their Stormcrows kind of up the right side of the map through some of these gullies. Maybe they're going to try and push 228. But that being said,
and it looks like 228 has gotten the scout information, though, that that push is happening, because it seems like need a pickle one last bite. They're forming up on the tail end of the push of the rotation being made by Evil. Nightbird and Ragnar Baron Leiningen are coming up in order to shade those lights in order to make sure that they don't disrupt the push on the other side, now being supported by Dom and Panic Button. But it seems like Evil is still on the move, but their push has been scouted. I repeat, their push has been scouted. Carl Vickers and the Stormcrow C in the Prime, and Way Too Sexy in the Stormcrow Prime, I mean, are already getting fired all the way from the other side of Polar Highlands by the mechs of 228 IBR. Great scouting information. That is exactly what lights are supposed to do for 228. With that push scouted out, it's stalling pretty much.
It's and stalled, now they're just getting. They're even being shadowed by the 228 lights, who have kind of repositioned themselves.
Great airstrike, by the way.
Yeah, these Stormcrows are stuck in this little gully. You know, they're being struck. The Hellbringer or the Warhammers for Evil can't really position to help them, and they're just like having just tons of trouble trying to close on 228.
And Ragnar Baron Leiningen might be in some trouble right now. He's super close to these lights, and he dove in, and he ate a huge amount of damage in his Flea. Nightbird also going in a little too hard right there, 78%. They need to be careful, but Nightbird did cleverly drop a strike, either Nightbird or Ragnar. Artillery strike coming in. It doesn't hit any of the lights. Meanwhile, the Stormcrows are still stuck. Gilakuda took some damage. Admiral Korean Jesus as well, 70%. So the Stormcrows were able to get in medium range and do some damage, but it wasn't enough. Percentages are still in favor of 228. Todak, Gilakuda, and Korean Jesus are definitely down, but as far as things are considered, the Light Lance on 228's side is extremely healthy, and in these kinds of games, that is not what you want, since the Light Lance is what's going to close the game out. Hobbles V at 49% as well, and right now things are just looking dire for Evil. You already see that Way Too Sexy is preparing to take some sort of long flank to catch up with the heavies.
Yeah, it looks like the Stormcrows are just completely split for Evil. Hobbles might even be halved. He's really hurting back here. He's unable to do anything. And we still got like kind of this peeky pokey war between the lights of 228 and Evil. Neither team really seems to want to commit on the other, but Archon's coming in with his Warhawk, and those things are scary when you're a light mech. One errant move PPC shot can take your leg or your CT, and you're just done. Gyokuda taking some major damage peeking over the center, though. His Night Gear is not doing too well.
Yes, and right now it seems like damage is starting to shift back in the favor of Evil a little bit, and way too sexy. The ball, like the bravery on this guy. Look at him marching across the field. He is completely unshadowed. He's like he is like some sort of ninja coming out in the backfield, some snowy Arctic ninja. He was scouted by 228's Lights, but my goodness, he is isolated out there, and he is in a lot of trouble. But kudos to him for trying. He was trying to get the super flank going on from the other side of the map. Cheeky's gets a great cheeky kill on Gilikuda, and right now things went from looking good for 228 to not so good for them. They lost one of their primary traders, and still, while 228's Lights are very healthy, this puts them in a disadvantaged position trading mech-wise.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of wish Evil would have pushed though when Way Too Sexy had made that. He Way Too Sexy managed to pull the attention of 4 mechs off of 228, and now he's dying for it almost for nothing. It seems like that would have been the opportune time for Evil to take their numbers advantage and try and deal with these 228 Lights.
I think that's the advantage of scouting for 228. I'm not sure if Evil's Lights exactly saw what was going on or whether or not Evil was experienced enough to take advantage of the coordination, but it's evident that one team definitely did, and that's 228. Dom and Nita Pickle are basically shading out of the circle. Now Nightbird, Ragnar Baron, Leiningen, Yondu, Carl Vickers are trying to push him out. Korean Jesus gets a great kill on Carl Vickers. Dom is going toe-to-toe right now with Nightbird, getting assistance from Nita Pickle. Nita Pickle got some good burns in on Nightbird, and now the medium range trades from the Stormcrows are coming in. Nightbird gets legged by Nita Pickle, finished by One Last Bite. Great kill coming in, and now the dominoes drop and the dice are rolling. Evil is getting thinned out completely. Todok the Potato Hunter finishes Yondu Udana, and it's all that's left are the Kit Fox and the Flea 17.
Yeah, that spiraled out of control for Evil pretty quick there, but it was a pretty good try. There are a lot of very hurt mechs on 228's side. I think just the range advantage 228 had, along with the speed of all that light lance, is a little bit difficult to overcome.
Mm-hmm. And the GGs are out. Great match by 228. I love the scouting on this match. This was a match where the Lights might not have done the damage, but they did the most important job, which is scouting and field vision. And just amazing movement from 228's Lights. They were dancing in the circle. They were taking advantage of what little terrain cover there was in order to put themselves in the best positions they can. Now, Way Too Sexy, unfortunately, did not pull the sexy damage numbers, only 30 damage and 1 assist. Hobbles V, 92, 64 for Nightbird. Ragnar Baron, Leiningen, it's 56. The medium range mechs, such as the Warhammer, did some work, but it just wasn't enough to pull anything away. Meanwhile, Todok the Potato Hunter, with 603 damage, Admiral Korean Jesus, i.e. Mikado Soul and his Hellbringer F doing 416. Archon Adam Steiner a little ahead, 434. And while the Lights of One Last Bite, Panic Button, Dom 195, and Nita Pickle didn't pull out much damage, they definitely got the scout information they needed. And I believe Nita Pickle did some pretty good scouting as well. So, in order to showcase his abilities to have hawkish eyes, I would like to put in a little bit of a shout out for him. Nita Pickle is one of the more prominent Twitch streamers in MWO. He's a very charismatic guy. I watch his streams. He seems very funny and lighthearted. And here it is. It's going in chat right now. So 5 minutes later for the people that don't have the delay. But still a very good match. Do you want to jump to the map strat?
Yes, let's do that. Alright, so this match was Polar Dom. We've seen it in 6v6. I don't think we've ever seen Polar Domination in a 8v8 situation, so it's definitely kind of a different situation. Maybe we've seen it on early drops, but slightly different rule.
Polar Highlands and Domination has been fairly prominent, but not super prominent. Like generally, it's only been played on domination for the most part. There have been some games where it's been played on conquest, and during those games, it's actually a lot of fun because as a result, teams try to use as much mobility as they can, and engagements are very scattershot. But for the most part, comp teams really like this map on domination because of what it affords, and we've seen that in the way the teams have just played it. Now, looking at the map strat, it's kind of a bread and butter approach to how most comp teams played it. I see you've already got started ahead of me,
Yeah.
Toaster.
So Evil kind of just pushed straight in. They kind of sat there for a little bit. Not It didn't look like they really knew what to do. They had the two Warhammers kind of trading across. 228 took a much like wider ring, maybe probably closer in than what I originally drew. But they set mechs, Hellbringers, their Warhawk, kind of all around, while their light mechs kind of played around on the inside of the circle here, kind of using that main primary ridge to their advantage. They got some great scouting info when Evil tried to kind of make a little move with their Stormcrows up towards Alpha. The 228 lights, they saw that maybe Evil got a little more split than they wanted to. Then they started to kind of pounce, put some pressure on H7. And that forced Evil's Warhammers, their Kit Fox, and their two lights to kind of stay behind, while the Stormcrows kind of just ventured into J9 and were stuck for a little bit in no man's land. And that definitely hurt them.
Exactly. And even more no man's land when Way Too Sexy tried this absolutely insane flank from one side to the other. I believe that at the end of the flank, he was wrong arrow again. Yeah, he was all the way in Hotel 11.
Yeah.
While the rest of 228 were somewhere around, I want to say Golf 10-ish right there. And it was an insane flank. And unfortunately, he didn't get much done because the panic button and One Last Bite pretty much intercepted him and killed him, took him out to the back of the woodshed and put two shotgun shells into him, so to speak, get him out of his misery. But it was still just a very, very crazy move, and it was a lot of fun watching it. And as you said, Toaster, it definitely felt like Evil didn't take advantage of the fact that there were only two light mechs and that some of the range mechs were diverting away from the main fight to try and assist One Last and Panic with the kill. Even though it wasn't much, and I don't know if there was a lot that they could have taken advantage of, it's still worth noting that Evil's inexperience with the map and inexperience with comp overall kind of shine through. Meanwhile, 228 was very, very well coordinated and knew exactly how to approach the map and the game.
Yeah, if there was a time to push, I think at one point 228 did have, 4 mechs kind of here, G10, H11, killing their one Stormcrow. And, maybe it wouldn't have mattered. Evil was pretty beat up by that point, but if you're going to kind of go in and try and get some kills off of 228, I think that was the moment.
Well, it looks like Evil kind of had a bit of a spy on the other team. The lobby must have broke or something because Hell's Manix was accidentally on their team, and now 228 basically telling me to stop praising Imp and doing my job, even though I haven't I've only said one sentence in praise of Imp. You know what, Toaster?
Boo,
I think I should just
EMP,
go off on
boo.
No, I don't know. I want to say yay, EMPA. We should make this
Okay.
show about EMP according to Gilacuda. But
Well, maybe if Gyakuda trades a little better in his night gear, we'll talk about him more.
Oh, shade being thrown. I like it, Toaster. I like it. Well, at the same time, I guess we need to do our jobs a little better, so everyone could use a little bit of improvement all around.
Oh, yeah, for
But
sure.
T2A is setting up in the lobby, and Evil is getting their mechs ready. It's basically going to be a side switch, and we've already known what's kind of in store. What's in store ahead? It's going to be Alpine Peaks Conquest, which once again is a favorite map. And right now we see the teams getting ready. I'm almost interested in seeing what they're going to bring for Alpine. They might bring some pretty interesting Lerm decks, even though their Lerm mechs might have gotten a little bit exhausted in that match. In the match at a Solaris City, that was a lot of Lerm fire coming down in that match. And
Yeah. They are down. They are down 2 Supernova A's and I believe 2 Madcat 4s. So I don't know. They are definitely down some Lerm mechs if that's what they wanted to do later. So, but we'll see. Maybe they show some Jay-Z's favorite mech, the Stalker, or some. We've seen some Lerm Fafnirs actually. I believe it was Eon brought Lerm Fafnirs of all things. So who knows?
Mm-hmm. So right now we're waiting for the tonnages to even out. It looks like Evil is still sorting their mechs out. As seen, the tonnage rule for this is 375, not 395. So we're just waiting for Evil to get their mechs ready, and then we will begin. But so far, this match seems to be moving at a decent pace. We're already in a drop three, about, I want to say, 40 minutes in. But of course, we can, we'll see how that keeps rolling.
Yep.
And we've already gotten word Cheekies is unfortunately going to have to leave because he's going to have dinner with his landlord. Sorry, buddy, but that's just the nature of things. You know, these matches don't necessarily conclude in an hour or so, and admittedly, we could have ran a little earlier, but at the same time, that's comp for you. Everyone's got to kind of get ready.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone's been there, you know. Can't fully dedicate all our time to MechWarrior as much as some of us would like to.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, that's the dream, right? Yeah.
All right, looks like Evil's mostly ready. I don't know. They were ready, and then Hell's Manix switched, so he's debating me.
He's debating all of us. Thankfully, you are not in control of the lobby button.
Thank goodness. So yeah, I wonder. So I wonder if they'll change something up. They can't bring any more Stormcrows, so they're gonna have to change that much at least. Maybe they'll try and do more trading. It's real dangerous to kind of go all in on the trade strat, because then, you know, maybe the opponent just picks whatever you have sitting in the circle and then backs off and tries to use cover to their advantage, but who knows.
Well, we'll see, because we're launching the match right now. We're connecting, and we're going to be going in from the lobby to Polar Highlands. Now, it would be interesting to see a little bit of a change up, maybe see some mediums with LRMs, or once again see kind of a all-in light strat again with 228. They might have used piranhas and fleas, but I believe that they still have the the machine gun variant piranhas left that they can utilize. And Evil at the same time also can use piranhas, since they didn't use any. There's still some great light choices that can be used on either side. Of course, the staple Wolfhound, and there's still plenty of trade mechs that are on the table as well. And of course, Polar Highlands is still the perfect situation for that. But match is ongoing. Mechs are loading in. Let's go over what we're seeing from 228. Matt, old compatriot from Dropship 5, one of my favorite people in the world, probably one of the smartest young Asians I've ever seen. He's already graduating from Princeton at like 20 years old. I don't know how he does it. He's a wizard, but he's bringing my favorite Urban Mech, 4 medium pulse lasers, 2 machine guns in his Urban Mech 60L. Very good choice. I love it. Gilakuda trading in his Night Gear T, ER mediums and ER larges with the Gauss rifles. Panic Button bringing a Wolfhound 2, along with 1 out of Spite, also bringing a Wolfhound 2. And you have Archon Adam Steiner and Oblivion SK. Oblivion in the Summoner Prime with PPCs. Of course, why wouldn't he bring PPCs? And Archon Adam Steiner and the Night Gear Prime trading with ER large lasers and Gauss rifles. So this is a very traditional deck for 228. Definitely a lot of lights. Like a lot of lights, 5 lights in total. So they might be going for a very kind of not necessarily rushy strat, but they might be trying some sick flanks. But what do we see on Evil, Toaster?
Yeah, Evil kind of going with a similar strategy. They've got a much, like, I don't know, evenly distributed and heavier drop deck overall. Or, well, maybe not total tonnage, but they've got 3 Hunchback 2 CAs. I would guess those are ER large boats. Crab, 2-0. I'm not familiar with that mech at all. And then 2 Hunchback 4Ps. I would guess they're all like large laser, ER large laser trade mechs this time though, and they're gonna stick their little Commando Nightbird in the center as, you know, the hold the circle friend and stay alive.
Well, that crab is a short-range crab. It's got 6 medium pulse lasers. So the crab for Evil is essentially like a bigger, slower Wolfhound. Way too sexy in Relixander and the Hunchback 2 CAs. Oh, excuse me. They're trading with ER mediums and ER larges.
Okay, so they've got more of a mid-rangey deck, it seems, then. Maybe they're gonna try and just push 228? I don't know. Got some initial scratch going on over here. 1 last bite, taking a bit of damage, but nothing too significant. He's smoking, but it's probably just that dead arm.
Well, what's interesting to see is that 228, while they're trading, their lights are doing the smart thing and they're not overextending into positions that their heavies can't see. They got a really good spread. It seems like one of their heavies is stretched out very far away. That looks to be Oblivion SK and his Summoner Prime. Oblivion, he showed a lot of skill with being able to pop tart PPCs against EMP. He's kind of bringing it here. He landed some good shots against Alexander, and right now this spread is doing exactly what 228 wants. It's keeping Evil off edge, and they're showing their back to Oblivion SK and also giving some backs to the heavies on 228's side. The lights are trying to circle around and do what they can, and Evil is somewhat aggressing with the push. They're making their move now, but the push isn't fully committed. They're cresting the
Yeah,
hill,
they're kind
but
of
it looks like
trading.
it looks like some mechs really got hurt badly. Hobbles V already lost an entire side. Alexander down 80%. Hobbles V is already out. And Nightbird's at 60%, 75% for Cheekies. This is not going very well. Nightbird is on the back of the 228 Light Lance, and he picks off Nita Pickle. Rip the pickle. But Matt's taking whatever he can in his Urban Mech. Lost an arm, and now he's out. So right now, this rush is starting to work. It was a little slow at the beginning, but Evil is starting to push 228 out of the circle, and they're getting a lot of kills on these lights, which is disastrous for 228 right now. They're trying to rally on the side of Oblivion, and he's putting down some very good shots, trying to stymie the push for Evil. Now, interesting to see is that percentages are not on the side of Evil. Their mechs are really beat up, and we're starting to see it now.
Yep.
Alexander goes down from one last bite. Dom 925 finishes off Nightbird, and this is where the advantage that Evil just had in the beginning starts to end. The heavies and assaults on 228 Blackwatch are putting down as much insane pressure as they can. Gilakuda ends the life of Carl Vickers, shoots him straight in the back, I believe, and Way Too Sexy is caught out in his Hunchback 2CA, getting hammered by One Last Bite, who is poking extremely well. One Last Bite might be at 39%, but he easily kills Way Too Sexy with some well-timed pokes. Panic Button finishes off Hell's Mannix, and I think that's the match.
Yep, Cheeky's one of the last ones to go down, getting picked on. Where's Yondu?
Yondu was trying to push on Oblivion SK, and if you
yes.
wanted to isolate a summoner, that is not the mech to do it. That should have been the job of the Commando and the Flea. You don't send a crab that's not moving at 150 far off into the fight to try and kill a summoner. That's a job for the light, and I think that further highlights the inexperience of Evil in these kinds of situations. You know, you have to send the mechs that are best at their role to those performances. Cheeky saying, GG guys, got to head out. Nice try, Cheekies. Nice to see you in comp, especially against the Give A team. And it looks like that 228 is going to move into the circle, and that's it.
Yep. Well fought. The push came. It was just, I think they needed to do something about Archon and Oblivion and Gyakuda sitting back there in those night gear. They were just putting a beating into the Evil mechs after that initial push. Maybe send some like Nightbird and his Commando, if not to, maybe not with the goal of killing them, but keeping their attention focused on him while he darts around, and let the rest of Evil kind of focus on chasing down the lights of 228 before they can split off into the night gear.
All the mechs from 228 doing very solid damage, but Archon Item Steiner leads the way with 513 damage, showing that he is the true Archon of Steiner. Now, Gilakuda also doing a respectable 435, and Oblivion SK doing a 403 in his Summoner Prime. Basically, the story of this is that the long-range mechs were able to get the better of Evil as they tried to do a rotation around the circle to chase around the lights. The rotation had the effect of killing the lights early, and while at the beginning it was disastrous if Evil found a way to capitalize it and pull out, but the truth is they didn't, and they sent the wrong mechs to do the wrong jobs. Yondu Danta was the lead damage mech on that team, but at the same time, he was the last one alive, kind of farming the summoner for damage, and he was also involved in kind of the more mid-range trades. So kind of unfortunate what we saw. Evil, in essence, kind of fell for a trap, to say the least, but we can talk about that going through the map strat. Toaster, why don't you walk us through that?
All right, so that match, Evil was just much more decisive, I feel, on their push. So Evil this time, team one, they got into the ridge, kind of set up similarly to last time. They were kind of holding behind it. 228 this time, they didn't have as many traders, but they did have the two night gears and the summoner kind of sitting in the back, and while their lighter elements kind of held closer in on the circle. Now, Evil saw their opportunity. They pushed over. They killed the two lights. Matt, unfortunately, our bud, went down pretty early in his Urban Mech and Nita Pickle also in his Wolfhound. They didn't quite make it out. But unfortunately, once those two kills happened, Evil just kind of didn't have any set direction for the main body to go. Um, they sent Yondu eventually went chasing off after the summoner. Cheekies and the rest of the hunchbacks kind of got killed down in this little pocket in I-8, I-7 by the Night Gears, who the Night Gears were just never closed upon. And then I think 228 still had two light mechs that were just kind of ruffling the feathers of all the evil guys, who was it, One Last Bite, trading, just kind of sitting behind a ridge, trading with the hunchbacks, getting the better of them, and that was just kind of all she wrote.
And I would like to give a shout out to One Last Bite. That was amazing ridge peeking, especially with a mech that isn't that good at it, the Wolfhound. The Wolfhound has a lot of its guns kind of in its stomach and not in any high mounts. Meanwhile, the Hunchback 2CA kind of has that advantage. So to pull off those quick flicks, to dive in and out of cover, just incredible work by One Last Bite, and he definitely wasted the Hunchback. And I think the biggest problem was that Evil just didn't answer any of these more ranged mechs, as you saw from 228. They had mechs all the way out here in H6 and J6, and as Evil was rotating around the side of H8 and I8 to try and force the lights out, they basically had their backs destroyed as those mechs kind of egressed into these locations this way and this way, getting perfect flanks. Like it was basically a textbook double envelopment. It's something you'd expect from a history book almost. And even though at the beginning that as I said, Evil managed to gain the light advantage. At that point, it really didn't matter since Evil kept on going with their push, and their lights really weren't able to get into the heavy and assault. Heavy lances. Sorry, the heavy lances that were distant at Hotel 6 and Juliet 6, basically, and allowed them free reign to basically take a giant dump all over Evil's main body, which is not what you want. And as I said, the crab going after the summoner instead of like the lighter mechs like the flea, or the lights not trying to make any real effort and trying to go for them, it just goes to show that 228 was doing a very, very good job shading those mechs, and B, it also goes to show that Evil, whether it was inexperience, whether it wasn't in the drop plan, we don't know, but it goes to show that they just did not have a plan on how to deal with those ranged traders.
Yeah, it's so hard. You got to have some sort of answer, even if it's just, sacrificing a light to kind of keep them distracted as long as you can. And that's hard against those Night Gears too, because I believe they were a dual Gauss and ER large, or at least one Gauss and ER large. And, Gauss rifles can wreck pretty lights, especially in the hands of, people like Steiner and Gyokuda, who, they land their shots, they don't miss.
Exactly. They were dual Gauss. They were two Gauss, two ER large laser Night Gears, so they were definitely pouring out the damn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I believe the two Gauss rifles, that's 30 point. That's 30 point direct fire alpha, and then the two Clan ER large lasers, I believe, is 16 damage.
It's two is, I think it's like 20, but I'm not sure. I don't remember. I think it's 10.75 damage per ER large on the Clan side.
Either way, it's a lot of damage.
Yep.
I hope we don't get copyright infringed for this by Riot Games, but as Freak would say, tons of damage. And that's exactly what Archon, Adam Steiner, and Gilikuda were pouring out during that match. We're waiting for the teams to get ready now. Conquest Alpine is the next match, and this should be more interesting play. We saw 2-2. They played this match against EMP. They kind of, in Drop 4, they kind of brought it to a slow burn with trading mechs. Drop 5, they were mixing it up with linebackers, trying to rush certain positions, but really weren't able to get into the underbelly of EMP's trading mechs. And it goes to show now 228, they might have changed up their strategy now. They might have experimented a little bit, going back to the drawing board and been like, hey, how can we get these linebackers in the best position we can? How can we take advantage of the mobility? How can we unhinge trading mechs? And we might see some of what their process has come up with during their practice sessions against this match against Evil. We might see more range. We might see the linebackers deployed differently. We might see more lights even. But what do you think, Toaster?
I don't know, but all I do know is that both teams are ready. So let's just go rather than listening to my opinions.
Very true. Even though your opinion is worth quite a bit, at least to me.
No, I think the thing I'm most interested in seeing is will 228 still opt for the Osiris's like they did last time. I know we gave them a little bit of flack for it, but they seemed pretty confident that they still were happy with the choice, maybe just not the execution. So we'll find out.
That's definitely what it sounded like in the post-game interview. Sounded like Panic was not happy with the way they were executed. And against EMP, that's what you need for execution. And speaking of EMP, they are going to be actually playing Black Omen tomorrow. I would like to just remind everyone that match is going to be a lot of fun, and it's actually going to be broadcasted tomorrow at 10:30 p.m. at MWO Leagues right here on this channel. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow for that match. It's a lot of fun. And now let's dive into this match. Let's dive into this match. Sorry,
I'm over on the side of Evil. Looks like we've got some range traders. We got a Stalker 3FB, which is the Loyalty Stalker with ECM. Got to be ER larges. A Battlemaster 1G. Looks like an Arctic Cheetah B. I'm not sure what he's running. Probably some sort of machine guns and lasers. Maybe ER larges. Who knows? And they've got also Hellbringers and an Ebon Jag. So it looks like they've got probably long range laser trade. What do you see over on 228's side?
I am seeing ATMs and Jenner 2C3s with narcs in their tower heads. This is going to be interesting. ATMs rip through people in comp. I cannot wait to see how 228 deploy these. Their Jenner 2CAs have already taken Theta, and oh my goodness, if those Huntsmen get in the right position to utilize those ATMs, we're going to see mechs evaporate before the battle even begins.
There's also what appears to be a Lerm Blood Asp on 228's side, so we weren't completely wrong. There are some Lerms, along with these two PPC Warhawks of Archon and Gyakuda.
Oh, and the range trades are coming out right now. Archon Adam Steiner is hitting the Arctic Cheetah as it's crossing. Relixander took some heavy shots in his Hellbringer. The Arctic Cheetah, Ragnar, managed to take some hits, but they weren't exactly that damaging. But my god, these lights really have to be careful of what's going on, because if an ATM Huntsman gets a lock on them and gets some hits into them, all it's going to take is one well-placed Alpha with all those ATM 9s to get a good shot into their legs.
Does Evil know these missile boats are here? This Jenner is just getting a free narc on this Evan, and the Huntsmen have all climbed this ridge. Evil's kind of clumped up on the backside. Oh, Hellsman's going down.
And we're seeing the power of ATMs right here. Look at that Ebon Jag melt right there, down. Hellsmanix. Oh man, what a show! Oh my goodness, look at those missiles fly. Look at them melt people. That was like watching the Wicked Witch of the West on Wizard of Oz. I'm melting. That's Hellsmanix right now, melting the missiles. And we're seeing further trades go out. Hobbles V taking a lot of damage. Way Too Sexy at 97%. Carl Vickers, Relixander 83%, 84%. Oblivion SK took a lot of damage in this Huntsman, but my god, he put the damage out.
Yeah, over here Ragnar is taking a bunch of missiles too on this point. Looks like Dom's just saying, come at me, bro. I've got Lerm support.
Yes,
Ragnar
and now
gets legged.
Yeah, Ragnar, look, that is LRMs and ATMs for you. Ragnar Baron Leiningen, his leg literally disappeared like something out of a magic show, pretty much, and that came from the narking power of the Jenner's 2C3 from Dom. He was threatened, and he's like, you know what, I'm just going to hit you with a narc and chill. He chilled, missiles took care of the rest, and right now Ragnar Baron Leiningen's out, and he's probably going to die soon. Hobbles V also at 69%, and really what's happening is that Evil is not taking advantage of any of these mechs they're losing to try and make a difference in this match. 228 is just running roughshod over the map, and even though Evil has the advantage of the cap, they don't have the advantage of the mechs, and it's still very early in the game. It's going to be very easy for 228 Blackwatch to respond to this.
Yeah, 228 had aggressive a bit, but they're giving Evil a little bit of time to reposition here. Has Ragnar? Yeah, Ragnar has finally gone down, but I don't really know where.
Nightbird literally just got blown up by ATMs, and we're seeing more ATMs fly now. I cannot wait to see these damage numbers from 228. Those two Huntsmen are going to be doing work. I can easily predict that them and the Bloodass will be the MVP of this match. And right now, there's a little bit of hemorrhaging going on the side of the Huntsmen. Carl Vickers down 48%, already lost an arm, and yeah, we're just seeing what everyone kind of theorized, how dangerous ATMs can be.
Yep, they're trying to keep this Jenner off, but he already managed the decap. I don't know where Evil's trying to go. Their Warhawks have repositioned, so going this way is not going to get them any closer there. They don't really have an answer, it seems, to these huntsmen. Carl Vickers goes down.
They don't have an answer to these huntsmen because Carl Vickers just got blown up again. These mechs are just suffering one after another. It's, oh my goodness, just, they're falling like dominoes. They're falling worse than dominoes. They're falling like cardboard dominoes. Just, oh my goodness, look at the ATM fire. It's just insanity. These mechs get locked on, they get hit with a narc, and then they die. We don't even have time to really cast it, even with my machine gun style trying to auctioneer this thing going on. And right now they're all dead. That's ATMs for you. Look at the alpha damage. It's just something you can't compete with.
Yep. All that's left is poor Yondu and his Battlemaster back here. No cover. Lerms are coming in from that blood ass, and he's gonna go down.
And ATMs
soon.
are coming in from the Huntsman, and it's over. GG. The match definitely could have been played a little smoother. Admiral Korean Jesus and Panic Button were both very weak at the time, but my God, 228th showing what missiles can do. Incredible match. 8-0. 228th wins this handedly.
Yep.
Looking at the... Oh,
Go ahead,
sorry.
go ahead.
What do you want to... Okay, I was just going to put out the damage numbers, and I believe I was slightly correct. One last bite, MVP, Huntsman A, with the number of the devil as his damage, 666. And let me tell you something, that's the perfect number since these ATMs are literally from hell. Oblivion SK, 4 kills, 492 damage. Admiral Korean Jesus, 483 damage. That Lance put together, pumping out 1,300 damage, close to 1,400 damage on their own. Toe Talk the Potato Hunter, 623. Dom and Panic Button did less than 200 damage put together, but it doesn't matter because all they had to do was look at someone, and that someone dies.
Yeah. And I think those Warhawks, they didn't do a ton of damage, but those initial trades that they were doing on Evil, it meant those Huntsmen and the Jenners were able to close up to that ridge like uncontested so quickly, so early on in the match, and by then it was just over. You can't let those ATM boats get that close without any kind of damage on them.
Exactly, and we saw that because, the mechs were simply eliminated. Like, there were a bunch of mechs on Evil's side. I didn't get a good look, and it'll be seen through the match scores, which you can see on the tournament website page under each match, which I will gladly link after we finish this. But basically, we saw that those mechs just got evaporated. They couldn't do anything. They got ATM to death. There's nothing you can do in that situation, especially when you're caught out in the open on a map like Alpine Peaks. You can hide behind a rock. How much good that's going to do, who knows? But the point is, if you're stuck in the open, you get narked, there's nothing you can do. You are dead. And we saw that with the Ebon Jag at the beginning, and we saw that when things just kept rolling.
Yeah. It seems like Evil maybe got a little too far forward and clumped up there. Yondu at the end was alive because he was, playing more to the range of his mech. Even with ER larges, he had the optimal is, 800-900 meters, but you can scratch trade, especially on these longer rolling maps, well out past 1,000. And I think that's definitely kind of Evil maybe needed to spread their line a bit more, do a little bit better job scouting so they see those ATM mechs and don't get picked so early, quite like that Jag did.
Definitely, and it just shows that, once again, comp and experience showing in through Evil. They should have identified that something was up the moment a mech got narked, and their response to counter this was just way too slow. There wasn't really much they could do, and even still, as they got ATM'd, the response was still slow, and there was not much they could do. It was just a constant screw-up of mechs just falling more and more and more. And once again, Evil is just unable to find a way to respond and to adapt, try and find cover. They try to do, like, I believe if we look at the map strat, they tried to do a push all the way down I-7, I-8 at the end tail of that match. Like, why would you push this way? There is no cover here. There is not much cover, especially when the Huntsmans are all lined up. In this position, you are asking to get vaporized. You are asking to be like the city of Hiroshima during the atomic bombing of Japan in World War II. That is what you are asking for. It was just not a smart move, and I'm very sorry if that offended some Japanese people. I love the country of Japan, great people, but even still, that's exactly what happened. Like, Evil just did not have an answer for the ATMs, and it showed. And kudos to Dom and Panic Button. Some of the most aggressive light play I've ever seen. They really did not care that they got banged up. They really did not care that they were taking damage. And believe me, Jenner 2CA, it's an oversized vehicle on these maps. The Jenner 2CA is bigger than most heavies. As a matter of fact, I think the Jenner 2CA is as big as the Warhawk 2C in mass. So you know that they're definitely going to be eating damage like crazy during these matches, but it just didn't matter. You know, Panic, Dom, they knew what their role was. Their role was narc and try not to die, and that's all they did. Yeah. And it worked. It got them the win.
I think part of it's just lack of experience. I think, like you said, Evil, when you only see that late in the game, you know, those two Warhawks are the only mechs trading against you, you should maybe get a little bit of an inkling that something funny is up. Right? If your opponent is like trading like maybe I think Evil expected them to, you'd have expected to see a Hellbringer, a Summoner, or something like along those lines, taking up some slightly more extreme angles. But instead, all they saw were those two Warhawks getting those trades off, and didn't seem like they had any idea that those Huntsmen were closing up onto that ridge, and they paid the price for it. I think really, you know, you got to do something to keep those Huntsmen off that ridge. Maybe push up yourself. You're going to eat a lot of damage doing so, but it's just such a you get so punished by letting them sit there and pop dart up and down like that. It can't be excused.
And you know what? Looking at these matches, it seems like that this is something that Smoke Adders and White Knight Legion are looking on with an incredible amount of interest. These have shown their skills and basically shown what they can do. Like, this is something that you might want to be careful of going forward. Like, you know, just a little bit of a link going in. That's going to be the page of our next match between White Knight Legion and Smoke Adders 373. People are going to be watching that with a lot of interest because of the fact that this is the strategy right here.
Yeah, seems like, I don't know, 228, they didn't bring so many ATMs against EMP, but today they just doubled down. Like, we want more ATM Huntsmen. Last time they had, I think one had ER larges and some lasers instead of just ATM. So they're liking these missiles, and with, I believe, their upcoming buffs to both ATMs, and I know their upcoming buffs to LRMs, you know, probably might be seeing even more lock-on missiles in these later matches where they're actually allowed, not in drops 2 and 3, of course.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And now we're on to drop 5, the final drop. 228th. I don't know if they're going to bring the strategy again. I think they've already made their statement, but they very well could. There's plenty of mechs that mount LRMs and ATMs, and I just... after that, there's really not much more that they need to prove. They've handedly won the drop 4-0 while they don't gain anything. Evil wasn't really able to squeak out that many kills, but still, it's just it's something to pay attention to. You know, this is very...
Yeah, 228's, they're out of Huntsmen. They can no longer bring any Huntsmen. They played 3 that round, but I believe they still have not played... Have they played any Supernova A's? I don't believe they have. So they've got 228 has not played pocket.
Supernovas. Yes,
they've still got more Blood Asps potentially. So you could be seeing more Lerms, or you know, you could just see the regular old Battle Masters, Hellbringers, that sort of thing. They are out of Warhawks, so no more of those from 228. And Evil, you know, they've got a wide variety. I believe they're out of Supernovas though, so they can't quite go all in on missiles.
Evil has kind of exhausted. Evil kind of blew their load a little early, so to speak. Excuse the sexual innuendos, Chad. Very sorry for that, but it's true. Evil kind of used much of their learn power in Drop 1 in Solaris City, I guess, to try and sneak a win around the map. We saw how that worked out. I mean, they did get a kill, I believe, but at the end of the day, it really didn't do much, and we basically saw 228 kind of reveal a card that could be very helpful in the future against Black Omen and EMP. It's going to be interesting to see how they countered it. We saw last week when EMP played against 228 that they tried an AMS Nova, and during the interview, Bowser said that it didn't have enough ammo, so that's an interesting counter, but EMP is very inventive, and they might not go back to that again, and at the same time, Panic Button might not even go back to that again. You know, he might try and switch things up, since, as we said before, Panic Button is an extremely smart leader. 228 has a very strong brain trust of people to come up with strategies, and we've seen them here and now that Panic Button and One Last Bite are really effing good at lights. Like, they were weaving in and out of the team. They were taking a lot of fire in what's essentially a used Subaru of mechs, and they helped pull out a win. Gillacuda did just say in the chat that One Last Bite isn't in the MVP. I'm pretty sure there's people that would disagree because he did the most damage. But at the end of the day, Panic Button and One Last were a huge part of that win. And now let's check out the mechs. Toaster, what do we see on 228?
228, they've got two Nova Cats, Nova Cat A and Prime. I'm not sure whether three Nova Cats. So probably extreme range with ER larges. I believe two of those are the variant with the extra heat scale limit with the ER largest, so you can fire 3 for free. They've also got Battle Masters, the Osiris again making an appearance, and the Incubus, now legal this week. No error there. It wasn't illegal last week, but now it's legal. What do you see on the evil side?
Yes, as said last week, there was a bit of a rule book going down. EMP brought an Incubus when it wasn't legal due to basically a faux pas by Ash, but that was quickly fixed, and the matches after might have been better than the ones before, so unintentionally thanking T28 for the rule book. But we've seen that Evil's bringing, once again, ER Large Laser Trading, Yondu Danta bringing the Battlemaster 1G, and Hell's Manix bringing a mix of medium and large lasers in his EBJ, probably praying to the gods of LRMs that more ATMs are not on the field so he doesn't get evaporated again. Hobbles 3 bringing Jay-Z's ever so favorable Stalker 3 FB with a lot of large lasers, 6 total, and Carl Vickers bringing the Huntsman. I believe this is a laser Huntsman, but I'll have to double check just to make sure. And it is 2 ERPPCs, actually, no lasers, so I was not correct on that. But with the range trades are going out, 98% is the lowest percentage right now for Relexander, 96 now for Way Too Sexy, spoke too soon again. Foot and mouth disease confirmed. Osiris 4D for Dom taking a little bit of damage, but his job probably isn't to necessarily make trades. It's the cap, and we see a little bit of a contention over at Gamma. Looks like Nightbird and his Firestarter A is watching over the point with Dom and his Osiris 4D. If Dom isn't moving, I think he sees this, and this is actually a shame. Nightbird could have gotten a great ambush if he set up behind these buildings, just tried to shield himself, wait for Dom to try and take the cap point and then go for it and try to get a free pick.
I believe Dom was there first, and Dom never really made a move for the point. I think his goal there is to just keep Nightbird from taking it. He was just contentedly sitting up on that hill. Nightbird had moved onto it at one point, but between strikes and scratch with the lasers, he was never able to cap the point. Dom just kind of scratching him every once in a while to keep it from flipping.
Just some food for thought. Maybe we might see a kind of ambush from other teams. I know that Aurora on EMP was actually a favorite of those ambush. Same with Tifon on SJR. So we have a bit of a 2v1 light skirmish. Yeah, Panic Button, 2v1 light skirmish over at Gamma, and right now Nightbird is not going to be doing so hot. He's down to 92%. Panic Button intelligently leading the way in his Incubus at 98%, but his Incubus isn't really built to fight lights specifically. It's probably a little hot and has medium pulse lasers, but Panic, he's good enough in lights. He's definitely proven that he deserves his title as one of the best lights in this game. He's growing as a pilot, and it's very likely that these two are going to get the pick. Nightbird, there's no way he's going to make it back to his team. I would almost say it's a foregone conclusion that he's dead. Ragnar Baron Leinengen is trying to come up to support, but there's nothing really happening. And while all this is going on, Evil isn't really sending any ranged mechs to try and assist this light fight, so it's going to be an even light fight that's disfavorable because of the fact that Nightbird ate a lot of damage.
Yeah, Nightbird ate a lot just getting to this 2v2, but I don't know, that Osiris is pretty squishy, so maybe they can pull it out.
Dom 925, 77% in the Osiris. We'll take a quick look at it while the range trades still happen. Panic Button at 84%. The legs on the Arctic Cheetah are almost going. At the same time, Nightbird, though, very intelligently ducking in and out of the fight so that way he can't be focused, even though his legs are almost dead. That's a very bad sign. Dom trying to put some damage down on the Osiris. These mechs definitely aren't necessarily completely favored yet, and I guess we spoke too soon in saying that Nightbird dying was a foregone conclusion, but he's definitely not in a great spot. He's down 60%. His legs are screwed. Strike down. If a single bit of that strike hits the legs, they're in trouble. Panic Button and Dom wisely trying to retreat. Ragnar Baron Leinengen getting out. And what a great recovery by Ragnar Baron Leinengen, and a great attempt to kind of shade himself by Nightbird. If Panic Button and Dom were a little more aggressive on that light fight, they probably could have legged Nightbird, or if their burns were kind of, I guess, more held true, then they could have came out on top. But One Last Bite is moving away from the trade fight in order to assist the Light Lance. Meanwhile, all the while we were talking about the light fight, Todok the Potato Hunter is down 68%. He's been eating trades. His left torso's open. Definitely not a favorable situation, but at the same time, the damage numbers aren't necessarily amazing for Evil either. Hobbles V in his Stalker 3 FB is really beat up, and he's probably making Jay-Z cry a little bit inside that his mech's so close to death.
Yeah, that Stalker's eating a lot of fire, but, maybe those Nova Cats weren't the best choice with their low mounts on this kind of ridge peaky map. But that being said, we've got re-engagement. Dom fighting Ragnar again over here on game. One Last manages to take out Nightbird from the top of the hill. And now One Last is going to kind of focus helping Dom fight Ragnar. Ragnar gets legs, so it looks like Evil Lights are down. And now One Last will have to make the long walk back to help his team with these trades.
This is a precarious situation for Evil. Without light mechs, they have no chance of controlling any of the cats on this map. T2A is going in for the easy 3 cap, and this match is very, very disfavorable to Evil. And unfortunately, they haven't even gotten a kill yet, really. Hobbles V also really weak, 54%, almost dead in his Stalker. Once again, making Jay-Z cry some more. Panic Button and Dom are down 50 and 60%, but it doesn't matter since they could just cap out the rest of the game and take the trades they need to. Need a Pickle and his Panther 9R doing pretty solid, getting some trades in. Archon Adam Steiner, 73%. Admiral Korean Jesus, i.e. Mikado Soul, is down 84%, but all that damage is in his center torso in the Nova Cat, which is not ideal, but at the same time, it still seems like this match is in complete control of 228. There's no reason they should lose this match.
Yeah, Evil's kind of shifting up. They don't have anyone way on the high edge of the map, but they've shifted into these buildings. They really want to get Sigma, but I don't see how they're going to manage it with that Panther and those Nova Cats up there watching the point constantly.
Dom gets killed very quickly by Evil, and sure, that kill might have happened, but the point remains that 228 still has a light advantage. Unless Evil can really start taking advantage of the disjointedness of 228's main body and the fact that One Last Bite isn't really that present in the fight, it still looks like this is 228's game to lose. 3 cap under their control, cap points in their control, everything is in 228's control. Very skilled trades from 228 all around, with the exception of Admiral Korean Jesus and Todok the Potato Hunter, who are getting beat to hell right now. 62% for Admiral Korean Jesus, 56 for Todok the Potato Hunter, but they're returning these trades in kind.
Look at this angle that One Last Bite has pulled off with his Battle Master. Carl Vickers and Hellsman, who managed to kill Dom, they're just completely out in the open. Doesn't look like they have any answer for One Last Bite and his Battle Master. And now Panic Button's kind of going to be a little bit cheeky on this ridge and get some side shots in. It doesn't look good for these 2 Evil mechs.
And interestingly enough, Panic still has all his guns. One Last Bite getting a great strike and laser combo kill on Hell's Mannix. Yanu Dono finishes off Admiral Korean Jesus, but at this time, Hell's Mannix looks like he's going to eat it with combined arms fire from Archon Adam Steiner, One Last Bite, and Panic Button. And it will probably happen soon. And then after that, it's just half of Evil's team on the hill. Now, Admiral Korean Jesus and Dom are down. That's good for Evil. It gives them some extra points in their division. But at this time, it's looking like 228 is going to walk away with a statement 5-0 win against Evil. The mechs on the hill are getting traded very effectively against Nita Pickle, however, is doing everything he can in his power, poking very brilliantly against 4 mechs. Same with Todok the Potato Hunter. It's a statement alone that they aren't even dead right now, considering the fact that the entirety of the rest of Evil's main body was focusing on them. Hobbles V eats it. Yanu Danta's going to be eating it soon as well. Way too sexy. Basically the focus of all attention now. His sexiness is starting to rub off this match because 228 is just staring in awe at that sweet 8-pack on that Hellbringer, and they're starting to bring the pain down upon him, getting punched in the abdomen like good old Harry Houdini back in the day. That's unfortunately how the poor guy died. And now it looks like that 228 is just starting to go into a cleanup operation. Their main body on the Kappa side of this map is closing in. Yanu Danta trying to get some range trades when he can, but yeah, it still seems like nothing's changed. This map is very much in control of 228.
Yeah, they managed to flip Sigma, but it's a little bit too late, and looks like we're not even going to get a kill finish. We're going to go out to points, only 20 more points, 15 as I say that, till 228 wraps this one up.
Indeed, and the match looks like it's going to be brought to a close with a cap win. T28 expertly controlling the map. T28 expertly trading. T28 doing everything right. Very, very good win.
I will say I was impressed by that light fight off the back, but all right, before we go into that, what do you see out here on the scoreboard? One Last Bite doing some major work in his Battle Master. Same with Steiner. 4 kills between the two of them, both of them over 400 damage. Need a Pickle, only 90 damage, but I'm pretty sure he was very key in protecting that Sigma point, forcing Evil to take some probably more risky trades than they would have liked to try and get the cap lead back in their favor. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that I completely agree, and actually, I would say that it's a statement of Panic Button and Need a Pickle, and not Need a Pickle, Panic Button and Dom. Like Dom, my goodness, amazing life fighting capability. Those mechs are not meant to life fight. Like Nightbird isn't a slouch either. He's went up against some very, very strong light pilots and come out on top. And his mech is a bit more built for those light fights, but he just couldn't come out with the win, even with the assistance of Ragnar. One Last Bite came in time, and you know what Panic Button and Dom did that I really love? They slowed down the light fight. That's not something you see every day. They managed to basically take advantage of the fact that they pretty much opened Nightbird's legs and kept him from pushing, because if Nightbird did push, then his legs would have been completely killed right from under him. And they just managed to take advantage of that, use their range where they can, and kind of dip in and out between the hills in order to make sure that none of them could be the primary focus of one light mech or the other. Just amazing light play. And even though they were 2v1 on Nightbird, and even though I do think that they could have opened Nightbird's legs sooner with some better burns, it was still very, very good movement. And that's what you want to see with light mechs. Aim, that can always be worked out. But things like movement, positioning, situational awareness in a light fight, Panic Button and Dom proved that they had that in spades. Very, very strong light fight.
Well, Ragnar, and I think we're short selling Ragnar and Nightbird. They did very well too. I mean, it wasn't until the Battle Master showed up that things really tipped in one favor or another. And also, you gotta put hands up. I don't have the score screen up anymore, but Yondu and his Battle Master and Way Too Sexy and their Hellbringer, both pulling pretty significant damage and doing some serious work.
All right, well, the team leaders are ready, so let's start pulling them in now.
Yoink.
All right. Yoink indeed. All right, team leaders, very well done. Great fight. Now, Ragnar, to start the questions off with you, we're very curious. What was the thought process behind your drop one deck and your drop one strategy?
Try to catch them by surprise.
Interesting. And do you think it worked?
I think it worked, but they had more speed than we did, and they just outmaneuvered us on caps. We thought they might try to brawl us, like thinking we would just come in and theta brawl us. So we were like, okay, let's try to catch them with something outside of that. And the reason we took the left side was because there's a lot of low buildings there. It's a little easier to learn and ATM and stuff.
Very true, very true. Panic Button, one last. What was your reaction when you saw that Evil brought learn?
Well, we had planned for everything to run around the outside of the map, as we took a lot of stuff that has more speed than your average assault mech. And so when we saw the Lerms, we kind of made a seat of the pants call to duck in the middle of the map and try to get cover from that. Given that it was exactly the opposite of what we had initially planned to do with that deck, I felt like we reacted fairly well.
I would say so too, and especially with the rotation with your heavies, those first two picks were very good. Now, moving on to drop two, unless Toaster, you have any questions for?
No. I mean, I was surprised by the Lerms, but I mean, all things considered, I think you played it pretty well. Maybe you just need a little bit faster mechs to help Nightbird out with the caps. It could have gone the other way.
So now drop two, Ragnar, walk us in through the strategy. It looked like you guys were you committed more to mid-range push than any sort of long-range trades. Take us through that. What was your thought process behind doing?
We just thought that they might try to surprise us with like a brawl, so we wanted fast, mobile trading mechs to just kind of kite the brawl, and they did not. So what you just got outranged?
Way Too Sexy's extremely wide flank across the map. Was that something that was called, or was that just his own on his own initiative?
He's our Cuban Missile. I don't know. I'll have to ask him about that. I don't I don't know what he was doing there.
Hey, the Cuban Missile, it almost worked for a bit. And Panic, now for your team, drop 2. What was your reaction to their mid range?
Well, I mean, we thought that they might try to do some cheeky brawly, if that sounds familiar. And we had actually been incredibly worried about just the ability of a lot of mechs with mid short range, clan pulse lasers, stuff of that range bracket to poke up on top. You saw, I mean, tip of the hat to some of the other teams playing the Vulcans really well this last week on week 1, like EMP and those guys. Kind of worried about stuff like that popping up to the top of the ridge and really just legging something or killing something on our team and running away. So we've been working a lot on trying to be a lot more fluid with our lighter mechs in that drop in particular, with the idea that the guys in the back are basically going to anchor and start encroaching on either side of the map, pushing north and south to try to open up angles and make them move, and then our light mechs just run away. And since we can touch them at any given time, we don't really have to worry about keeping a physical mech in the cap zone, although I don't think that point is quite settled in yet with everyone on my team.
Hey, it's a hard point to settle in. I know that Dropship 5, it took us forever to actually learn that you can stop the cat by shooting people. But now into Drop 3. Ragnar, the push seemed good. At the beginning, you got 2 picks, but it definitely felt like you were disjointed. And in my opinion, it felt like you didn't send the right mechs to do the right job. So what was your team's thought process? Why a crab? Why, for instance, a crab against the summoner? Why that wide rotation? Why an attempt to push the lights out of the circle?
I think what the strategy Niper was trying was to bring speed plus firepower. The crabs were tanky, so we were trying to get them into absorb whatever light long range fire was going to come in, and just basically put a bunch of DPS on them at close. That was my understanding. I wasn't in that drop, but that was my understanding of this strat.
Well, it was still a good drop. Some of the lights got picked. Panic button. That was a very good response. What was the thought process from the head?
I'll pass this one to Bite.
Oh, all right. Yeah, we struggled on this side from scrims trying to figure out where to put our Overwatch guys. We didn't feel comfortable taking Brawl for like similar reasons to why we took long range on the other side, because somebody else could just take that and then we'd be out of luck. So we tried to spread out our heavies so that they could have as much distance as possible, but also not like be flat on one side so that we could just get pushed from the other side in the center. And we scouted the Hunchbacks early, but I think we had a misconception. Like, we saw the ER larges and figured, oh, okay, they're taking, standoff guys like the Warhammers again. And so we played a little too close to the center, I think, and that let them get in way closer to where they could actually be deadly with those guys. But luckily, we were able to pull most of our lights away from the center, and our Night Gears and Summoner just, had a field day taking shots at things.
Yeah, I have one question. Why the Irby? It doesn't strike me as kind of the right mech for that. You stick your big heavy mechs off in the background and, kite with your lights and faster elements kind of on the in-between. Is there a reason you chose the Irby? Is it just kind of it's what was available for the tonnage?
I think
it was kind of a experimental pick.
Yeah, when we put it together the first time, we had a bunch of Wolfhounds and Irbies in there, just thinking like maximum tankability in the center.
Okay, that's a fair point. I mean,
we modified it around a little bit to change up some tonnage at the top end, so we took a Flea instead. And at that point, we might have wanted to swap the Irby out because he was, the Lone Ranger there in that speed bracket. But we talked about putting in an Osiris, so that might have actually saved his life a little better.
All right, Ragnar. Now, unfortunately, drop 4. What was your team's experience in that drop?
Yeah, we didn't take right positions. Like, we didn't have proper Sigma Overwatch for one, and I was like, after I died, I was looking at them and they were all clumped together. So I think people no, I mean, no other way to say it. We just sort of we weren't properly spread out, and we even know how to spread that out in faction play and anywhere else. So I don't know what was going on there or why people were not properly spread, but it definitely cost us the match.
And now for drop 5, you guys were really close in the light fight. You and Nightbird were kind of alternating positions, but why did you guys stay, and what was the story with your heavy body? Why didn't no one come to assist you guys?
Were you talking about when we were fighting 2-on-2 lights?
Yes,
Yep.
drop 5.
Um, we felt like we had a pretty good position on the left, and we didn't really want to give it up. And I basically was coming to pull Nightbird off, but I felt like I was doing pretty good damage to their lights, and I wanted to pick one of them off, but I just over. And that was really the bottom line there.
And now, panic button. By the way, kudos to you guys. Great light play in drops 4 and 5. Like panic, holy shit, that was. Oh shoot, excuse my language. That was extremely good light play. Like very, very good. Now drop 4, I understand the process. You guys definitely did your job, and even Gilakuda was basically petitioning you guys to have the MVP award. But drop 5, take us through the light fight from your angle. What were you guys thinking, and what do you want to achieve?
Well, I guess as soon as Dom reported that there was a light mech attacking Gamma, we basically just told him to hold off. 2 committed using the speed of the Incubus on the right-hand side to get the Sigma and Epsilon caps under our control initially. That way we could pretty much, and this is, taking notes from last, we could just, shoot large lasers at somebody on Sigma for a split second, wave the lasers across their face, get a tick of damage, and prevent them from capping that once we had it. So Dom just prevented that that Firestarter on the Gamma side from getting that cap, which pretty much won us the game. I think just him delaying there. Once I got back over there, we started chasing the Firestarter. I had some really atrocious aim. There was a lot of sweat involved, and we didn't manage to leg him. He actually we had this series of overcommit. So I overcommitted, and Dom overcommitted to try to kill the Firestarter because we saw red. And then they brought the Cheetah in, which is a really good play because it's got SPLs. It's much higher DPS than either of the mechs we have. So when it showed up, we were in full disengage mode back up towards the cap point. We had Bite shouting at us from the ridge line that he was going to try to come help us. We tried to make it back up to the top of the hill, and then when they disengaged, it gave us a moment of respite to sort of catch our breath and get back out of there and calm down for a second and figure out where we were with the rest of the map. And once we had Bite up at the top of the hill, we understood that, okay, now we have a significant advantage. We can go back and re-engage and get the kills we need to win this game. That's pretty much where that's how that went down. I think that their lights played fantastic. Just 2 overcommits first on our part, and they kind of like tried to capitalize, and we barely got out. And then on their part, and then we just had the Battle Master there that tipped it in our favor.
Well, you know what? I can't say that you guys were slashed either, even though the aim could be improved, Panic. If there's one thing I've learned from playing lights, at least, and from what I've seen other people's play lights, it's that it's a lot easier to develop the aim. What's harder to develop is the positioning and situational awareness necessary to carry that position. And my God, you and Dom and one last in your separate drops 4 and 5, and you guys were lights, played it extremely well. I am hyped to see you guys versus the Lights of Black Omen and to have another crack against the EMP lights. Like, if you guys just keep moving forward, you guys can do it. Like, holy hell, great light play today. I'm psyched.
Thanks. Glad you liked the double narc jump.
Oh my goodness, the ballsiness. You guys were going in and going out. Oh my goodness. And Ragnar, I'm very sorry that you were on the receiving end of that. Great matches overall. Evil, I think you guys, despite the match, it was a very tough one. You guys still did a lot of interesting things. I hope that you guys are successful in Div B. And 228, I hope to see great things from you guys going forward.
Yep,
we'll be here. Thanks. Great games.
GG's, boys.
All right.
Unfortunately, no giveaways, which is sad. I would like to throw in the links again for the wonderful streamers that took part in this match, Yondu Danta and Nita Pickle. Give them love whenever you see them. I'm just going to put their links in the chat again. There's Nita Pickle right there. And here is Yondu Udanta, Yondu the Ravager, actually, in all his blue red fang glory. Give those guys some love whenever they're streaming. Give them a follow and check out MWO League's this page tomorrow for another high level match. Black Omen versus Imperial. I believe that's it, though, Toaster, off for us.
Yep, it was a good stream. Thanks for watching, everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We'll get these ironed out. I hope you enjoyed the match, though. We'll see you tomorrow.
GG's.